Welcome to the DFS Build MLB edition. Opening day was pretty good. If you followed our advice, you should have been doing well because the chalk did not. And we were all over the White Sox and a couple other stacks. I think Giants for sure were another one. I did like the Braves quite a bit as an unknown good offense. Anytime you can get a good offense unknown, something to consider for sure. Anyways, it was a good night. I ended up cashing, profiting a little bit. Taylor, I think, did as well. We certainly had a couple people in Discord do all right. So definitely do a couple things. Number one, like this video and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss out on future videos just like this. And also come join us in Discord for free. You can chat, share your lineups, ask whatever questions you have. We'll try to help you in any way that we can. And then, of course, if you want to build a foundation and work your way towards winning lineups, you can go to our Patreon and take advantage of our MLB stacks and pitcher picks for every single slate. Just $20.99 a month right now. And also we're giving out UFL DFS picks, MMA DFS picks, and of course NBA DFS picks over there. So go check it out. For baseball, a little bit different than NBA. If this is your first time watching us, we just go over the actual matchups with the offenses versus the pitchers, try to assess whether or not we want to play that pitcher, and then also look at the offense and see factoring in projection and ownership and see if we want to play that offense. So first up here, Taylor, we have the Jays and Orioles again. Toronto got smashed yesterday. It was part of the FanDuel slate, but it was an early slate for DK. The Orioles put up 12 runs, I think, completely destroyed them. And tonight, Charlie Morton will be towing the rubber against the Jays. And on the other side, we have Kevin Gausman going against Baltimore. I'm not really that interested in either side. Gausman obviously is a pretty good real-life pitcher. His velocity is up in spring. And Charlie Morton is an old beard, or his gray beard. He's old, 41 years old, but he actually he's been really good in spring training. So I'm a little bit hesitant to fire him up too. How are you feeling here about these pitchers and these stacks?
Not into Morton at all. The Toronto lineup is like wildly low strikeout against right-handers especially, so not really a lot of upside there. Not sure what kind of leash he'll have. As you said, he's an old man, so not really into it. I think Gausman is fine as an SP2. A little more expensive than I would want. Like, he was pretty wobbly all of last season. His best days are probably also in the rearview mirror, but potentially bounce back season, so I don't mind getting a dusting of him. But I do have interest in both offenses, namely Baltimore. Just a very high-powered offense. Morton has had power issues over the last couple of years, and particularly against lefties. We saw the Baltimore lefty power yesterday go insane with Rutschman and Cedric Mullins both hitting multiple home runs. Tyler O'Neill, who we mentioned on the show, hit a home run as well. Great right-handed power hitter. So I do have a lot of interest in Baltimore once again. Toronto, not as much. I think a dusting of the Jays is fine, but not any kind of priority. But the Gausman Baltimore thing is a little bit like the Hunter Green Giants thing from yesterday, where I don't mind either side. I think there's upside for both. Obviously, you're not playing them together, and I wouldn't say the O's or Gausman are core plays for me, but in multi-entry sets, I would definitely be getting exposure to both.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much all that. When I'm talking about Charlie looking a little bit better in spring training, I think that more or less just makes me a little bit hesitant to fire up the Jays, who just naturally are very inconsistent offense already.
They are pretty good, though. Like, Vlad Jr., they have Santander now from the Orioles. They have Bo Bichette back from injury. Andres Jimenez hitting pretty high in the order. So there's a case for a stack. It's just not a team I'm really getting to as a full stack with a lot of volume.
Yeah. And the Orioles just put up 12 runs yesterday too. I'm not super confident that they're going to go break the slate again for the second day in a row, but we know they are fully capable of that. I'm never going to tell you can't play the Orioles. I just don't know if I really want to play them against Kevin Gausman personally. I think I just kind of am going to respect the pitching a little bit more on this slate with these guys, and I see other spots that I'd rather take. But if you want to play the Jays and Orioles, that's okay. Next up, we do have Mitch Keller hosting the Marlins. In theory, Mitch Keller looks like a viable play in a pitcher park against the Fish, but he also isn't really a trustworthy arm in general. So I'm not going to stack the Marlins here because Mitch Keller isn't gaining ownership, so you're not really gaining any leverage. I think you can entertain Mitch Keller just because he's not outlandishly expensive, and it's the Marlins. On the other side, you have the Pirates against Connor Gillespie, who very small sample size, but had an okay strikeout rate, but everything else looked pretty bad. Like, The Pirates in a pitcher-friendly park doesn't really scream to me, but they are popping a bit because he's just an inexperienced arm. So I'm okay with the Pirates here. I don't have a lot of interest. And maybe like a sprinkling of Keller, but that's probably it here.
Pirates, as of now, are my highest owned stack on the entire slate. Gillespie, very high walk rate last season, over 15%. Strikeout stuff is okay, but doesn't seem like a very good pitcher. He seems like probably the weakest pitcher on the entire slate. Pirates aren't a fun offense. It's obviously a bad park, but it's the kind of nature of the slate. There is stuff to pay up for, and the Pirates are pretty cheap. So I don't mind getting to them in a very attackable matchup against a pretty weak pitcher. I think Keller might garner some ownership, which I really am not into at all. Like if he does, I'm not really going to play the Marlins against him, but it would be like the Kikuchi thing yesterday. Probably just fade him and play somebody else. Like Keller's pretty inconsistent himself. The matchup is a good one, but there is enough else on the slate to where I don't really want to play a chalky Mitch Keller today.
Yeah, I mean, are the Pirates also going to be chalky, though, for the reasons you just said? Because that doesn't feel much better.
No, but
Chalky
I'd rather do
Pirates.
that because, you can play a chalk, depending on the field size, like a small field single entry. I don't mind that. And then you just make sure you get different with your secondary stack or your pitching. But I think it's okay just from a value standpoint. They have a pretty decent total.
Yeah, I don't ever get excited to play Mitch Keller in general. Like if you just want to play straight up matchup in park, he's not like crazy pricey. 7.9 is okay, but it's expensive enough that I will entertain doing other things. Like Gausman, I think has a better ceiling, just doesn't have as good of a matchup. So I don't know. It's weird because he's kind of the guy that you would say on this slate is the safe pitcher, but he's not safe at all. So it's tough. Moving on here, Boston, Texas. This is a way better. This is like one of the best spots of the night. Tanner Houck taking on the Rangers. He's a decent real life pitcher, but the numbers for DFS aren't super, super fun. And Texas is a good, talented offense. So I kind of lean Rangers here. I think you can play him, but I wouldn't personally. On the other side, Jack Leiter taking on the Red Sox. The Red Sox look like a smash stack. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I would not be surprised if they're top 3 owned stack on the slate. 11% walk rate for him last year. 15% K rate. This is against lefties, and they have a lot of them. A lot of power from the left side. Boston looks good.
Yeah, no issue with that. They do have a good lineup. Plenty of lefties, like you said. So I will be getting to them with pretty good volume too. I'll also be playing a lot of Jack Leiter, I think, because he's cheap. You're getting the leverage against the chalky Boston stack. He is a good prospect. There's no reason to think he's going to be a gas can for the entirety of his career. So 6,500 helps you pay out for like a team like the Dodgers or the Orioles or someone like that. And going against Boston. So, chalk hitters fail all the time, like we've seen, like we saw yesterday, for example, with the Angels. So Boston does strike out a decent amount, 24% of the time last season against right-handers. I don't mind it, and I think Houck is okay. Also, Texas just isn't a great matchup, but 7,700 for a pretty good pitcher, particularly against right-handed hitters. Don't mind it. Texas has a pretty righty-heavy lineup, maybe kind of balanced. So not a great spot, but I don't mind Houck as a kind of secondary SP2 along with Leiter.
Yeah, I'm not really on the Leiter thing. I understand the price and like his upside, but so far I haven't seen a lot to make me feel confident in a really tough matchup. So price wise, sure, you can do whatever you want, SP2, but I think I'm really Boston heavy here, and I don't mind the Rangers on the other side. Not really into the pitching that much. If I did play a pitcher, I think it'd be Houck, but I don't really want to play him. Tyler McGill takes on the Astros. Astros are not as strong as they have been in the past, but they're still okay. He has a good K rate and everything, but just not really the best spot here because they do not strike out at all. I just don't think it's a good DFS spot for him. He doesn't project very well. On the other side, Hunter Brown against the Mets. Mets are not an offense to pick on, but Hunter Brown is a very good real life pitcher. If you want to play Hunter Brown, here's the thing. If Hunter Brown was chalky against the Mets, I would be like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to pass on Hunter Brown tonight. Maybe I'll stack up some Mets. But he's not. He's like the fourth most owned pitcher on the slate. So like relatively chalky, but not compared to the real chalk. So I like Hunter Brown. 8.8K is not that bad. And the Mets do have strikeouts in their lineup. So I think he looks like a pretty good play.
Yeah, I'm going to play a ton of Hunter Brown. I think he's probably my favorite pitcher on the entire slate, just ownership factored in.
Yep.
He is a bit pricey, but not necessarily on a full slate pricey. Pricey for this slate.
That's going to keep him kind of low owned, though, which is nice.
Yeah, people don't want to pick on the Mets, but
right.
Hunter Brown's good. Ground ball rate, strikeout stuff's pretty good too.
I mean, it is risky, right? Like, let's be clear.
Yeah,
It's risky,
every
but he's
pitcher has a risk. Like,
right.
things can go awry from game to game. Hunter Brown was awful last April, for example. So could go awry again, but I don't mind it. 8,800. I'm interested to see where the ownership will be. I do think Castillo is going to pull a lot more at a cheaper salary, so that might keep Brown's ownership fairly low. I see McGill, like 6K flat's pretty cheap, but Houston's still a low strikeout offense. Don't really want to pick on them. They are righty heavy, but McGill's been a little bit reverse splitsy so far in his career, I believe. Let me check on that, as a matter of fact. Yeah, well, average platoon split, so a bit better against righties. So 6K flat, I'd just rather play lighter in that range for the leverage. As far as stacks, I'm not really on the offenses here at all. Two of my lower owned offenses on the slate. I think if Brown's ownership comes up, you can make a case for the Mets, but kind of a stay away overall.
I mean, he's coming in right now at 24%. If that lowers, I'm just more and more into Hunter. If that goes up, I will definitely either way. I like Hunter Brown enough that I'm going to get to him a lot. So I'm definitely going to hedge a little bit with some Mets stacks. It's the Mets. They got a lot of power, very talented lineup. And like you said, he started off pretty poorly last year. So you just never know. But as things stand, it's Hunter Brown or bust for me in that game. Jeffrey Springs hosting the Mariners. The Mariners do have a little bit of pop here, and they don't strike out that much, weirdly enough. I remember them being a high strikeout lineup. Maybe Luis Castillo being down there, factoring in there, has something to do with that strikeout number right here.
That.
I don't know. So that's their strikeout, collective strikeout rate's a little bit higher than what we're seeing. Jeffrey Springs, though, he can make bats miss. He does give up. He's a traditional guy here, giving up power to righties. So we can definitely stack up Mariners righties if we want to. Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh, Mitch Garver, Randy Arizona. All these guys look pretty good here. I don't mind them at all. Springs can get hot, so I don't hate Jeffrey Springs. What's his price here? 7.5. I think he's okay. You can play Springs for sure. I just prefer the Mariners side today. I think Luis Castillo in a vacuum. Luis Castillo is a good play because Athletics, I tend to like to play them when they are actually in a hitter's park. This is not one of those things. And then I also like to play them against Southpaws typically. But if he's going to be the second most owned pitcher on the board, I have no qualms going down under him and also firing up Oakland, who have plenty of power.
Yeah, Castillo's great. He's underpriced. The matchup is okay. It is the best pitcher's park in the league, so that is certainly going to help him. Seattle is a pretty high strikeout lineup against lefties, so I think you can make a case for Springs. I wish he were a little bit cheaper. We didn't really see a lot of him last year with Tampa Bay, but he was a pretty good pitcher before that. So I assume he still is pretty good. Not dying to get to the offenses here. I think Castillo's ownership is going to be high enough to put Oakland in play, or the Athletics in play.
Can't say Oakland.
They're not Oakland anymore. So
I know, but you can still say it.
Oh, it'd be wrong, Kevin.
I don't know. They're Oakland to me.
They're Sacramento, I guess, for now.
Well, actually, they're literally ATH. That's all I see them as everywhere.
They're playing in Sacramento. They just don't want to be known as that.
No, nobody does.
So yeah, you can play them just for the leverage always. I will be getting plenty of Castillo even into ownership. He's 8,300. He should probably be 9K plus. So that's fine. Seattle side, whatever, not a huge priority. They do have some righty power, like you said, but not the best spot. I'd rather target something else.
Listen, here's the deal. For anybody watching, Castillo is a very good play. 100%. But it's baseball. We have to embrace the variance. So absolutely, in lineups, I'm not playing Castillo. I'm firing the shit up of the Athletics. I love the Athletics here. Nothing is going to be better than me messaging you later tonight, Rooker, when he dongs Castillo. It's going to be great.
I don't think he's as bad a play as Kikuchi was yesterday.
No, of course not.
More merit to him.
I know, but, to be fair, Kikuchi was way cheaper, and he was facing the White Sox, and he still bombed. This is just what happens all the time. It's baseball. It's high variance. These good pitchers in good spots just get bombed. It makes no sense, but it always happens. So like I said, Castillo is a great play. If you want to play a logical, really strong play, Castillo should be fine. But I am still hammering Athletics on this slate. The other thing, I'm playing Springs and the Mariners. The Spring, he had 27 fantasy points last year when he faced the Mariners, so we know the upside's there. So I'll just play both sides of that one. Ronaldo Lopez taking on the Padres in what we thought was a pitcher park. Then they had a shootout yesterday, Braves and Padres. Like I said yesterday, though, you can always play these offenses, especially if people are going to overlook them. Probably going to be the case again tonight. Based off the park and his own talent, Reynaldo's in play, but the strikeout rate for the Padres is bad, so I'm not super excited to do that. On the other side, you do have Dylan Cease, who has a better strikeout rate than anybody that you'll see on this slate, higher ceiling than anybody, and he's not really that expensive considering his talent and upside, but he's facing the Braves. So certainly we saw last year Dylan Cease can go get 12 strikeouts or he can give up 12 runs basically. So I like the Braves as a leverage here if Cease is going to carry ownership. Right now I think he's at like 25 to 28%. And the Padres are kind of like just whatever because I don't think Reynaldo's going to be very owned.
Yeah, I don't mind the Padres just because Lopez, I think, is probably one of the weaker pitchers on the board, and it is a pretty good line. Both teams have good offenses, so I will be getting to a little bit of them both. Neither is a huge priority, though. Like Boston, we talked about, it's in a better spot. We'll get to a few more in these last couple of games. So a dusting of them is fine. I do have a lot of interest in Cease. Just if anyone's going to put up 13 strikeouts and go full Mackenzie Gore,
right,
it's probably him. Not a good matchup for it, but Gore's matchup wasn't great either, but often good pitching wins out. So guy like this, 9,300, like you said, a little bit underpriced for who he is. I'll have plenty of him right there with Hunter Brown. I think he's a very strong play for a little bit more. Interested to see the ownership between the two. I feel like the chalky combo is going to be Castillo and Yamamoto. So these guys in between Lopez or Cease and Brown should be a little bit lighter owned, and I'm very interested in both of them.
Well, as we've said before, eating the pitcher chalk isn't always the worst thing to do. Like sometimes, depending on the slate, that's just what the best options are, and we have to deal with it. It could very well be the case that Castillo and Yamamoto are just the best plays, and that's just what we should do, and then we get different with our bats. But either way, Cease has monster upside, 100% playing both sides, but unowned Braves, like that's always fun. So I'm still looking at that as well. Jameson Taylor taking on the Diamondbacks. I definitely go Arizona here. They have a ton of lefties, ton of power. They do not strike out. All of that sounds really bad for a guy who has not even an 18% K rate against lefties and gives up a 174 ISOs against lefties. So Diamondbacks look awesome here. Like them quite a bit. Merrill Kelly is an okay real-life pitcher. He just goes out there and survives. He does have issues with lefties, though. 14% K rate last year. 9%, almost a 10% walk rate, 184 ISO. So the Chicago lefties look good too. So I kind of like both offenses as stacks.
Yeah, I could see Arizona being the chalkiest stack on the slate against Taillon, but it's a good spot. They do have a good lineup, even without Christian Walker. They got a little more lefty heavy with Josh Naylor in his place. So I do like that. I like the Cubs too, though. Like you said, the lefties, Kyle Tucker, Ian Happ, Michael Busch at the top of the lineup all look very good. PCA, if you want someone who's cheaper with some stolen base upside. I'm really not getting into the pitchers in this game at all. I think both offenses are outstanding.
Yep.
And that's really all there is to it. If you're playing them, you're going to have to get different elsewhere. I don't think the Cubs are going to be like mega chalk, but the Diamondbacks might be.
I would imagine right now, unless like people see the Pirates start popping in their lineup optimizers or something, I would imagine at first glance Boston and Arizona are the top two stacks. And for good reason. Like sometimes the chalk just wins and sometimes you can eat the chalk. If you're going to do that, though, just make sure you do something to get different, whether it be just separating your secondary stack into like 3 ISO plays that aren't very owned, or having a secondary stack, 3 guys that aren't owned, or using an SP2 that just isn't on anybody's radar. Just do something within reason that gets you a little bit different. All right, last game of the night, we have the Dodgers hosting the Tigers. Jack Flaherty is taking on the Dodgers. Godspeed, Jack. Godspeed. He is a good real-life pitcher, high strikeout rate.
Revenge.
Yeah, revenge. He does know the Dodgers quite well, but they're the fucking Dodgers. So if nobody's going to be on the Dodgers, like fire those guys up. Here's the thing. Jack Flaherty is a good pitcher, but he also can be prone to blow-ups. So I don't have any qualms about playing an unowned Dodgers team. Like right now, they do not look like they're going to be very chalky. Like they're the Dodgers. It's kind of like when we talk about Jokic or something. Like, oh, Jokic is only 10% owned tonight. Well, then they'll still be owned anyways. Like Shohei Ohtani is going to be owned. Like he's going to pick up ownership.
Yep.
On the other side, the Tigers are facing Yamamoto, who is the mega chalk. You can YOLO that one and stack up the Tigers, or just go away from Yamamoto. He just looks like the best pitcher right now, though.
Yeah, and he's fine. He's 9K, so he's not overpriced necessarily. He's a good pitcher. I don't think he's Dylan Cease or anything. His matchup is better than Dylan Cease's, so he projects better. I don't really think he should be like super duper chalk, but I bet he will be, which does put the Tigers in play as a pretty good stack. It's not a bad offense. Like we're used to the Tigers being shit, but they're really not anymore. They do have some pretty good power from the left side. So like Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, if he's in the lineup, stuff like that. I really like them as a secondary stack. I think I'd rather play the Tigers than play the A's, for example, on this slate. But both sides are fine. Dodgers speak for themselves. They're my third highest owned stack on the slate behind the Pirates and the Red Sox right now. Just, they're expensive. So you're probably having to pay down for someone if you're going to stack them, or pay down at pitching, something like Tyler McGill and Jeffrey Springs, Jeff Leiter into the range. It won't be, but fully stacking the Dodgers is always in play. And then Flaherty is not really on my radar at all. I think he's overpriced for the spot.
Yeah, I'm not going to play Flaherty against the Dodgers. It's just like the ceiling just really isn't there to do that. All right, let's wrap things up with our flag plant of the slate. If you have one, whether it be a pitcher or a stack, and then we'll head out and do the NBA video, baby.
Let's see. Who I want to flag plant? I might go with the Cubs as a stack. I do like the spot against Kelly, kind of an aging average right-hander. He's not a bad pitcher at all, but another year later, who knows how good he's going to be moving forward. Chicago does have a good lineup, not going to be as owned as some of these other top offenses, so I do like that quite a bit. Baltimore would be my kind of secondary flag plant stack. And then I will plant Hunter Brown on the pitching side. I think the value, he's cheaper than Yamamoto, he's cheaper than Cease. The matchup's not great, but the ownership could reflect that, could come in a little bit lower owned than it's projected. So do like Hunter Brown quite a bit tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you on Hunter Brown. That's the pitcher I want first, and then we'll see what I do, whether I eat some chalk or not. The other thing is Arizona and Boston are just really good. That feels like kind of good chalk, so I don't mind picking one of them and then picking a secondary stack like the Oakland Athletics. That's going to be my flag plant, really.
Cool.
Castillo, the Sacramento Athletics. Castillo's just really owned right now. By the way, Yamamoto is projected for 47% ownership, and Castillo is projected for 38%. I think we should probably pick on one of those guys. We do not have to go full stack to take advantage of that. I think 3 guys from Oakland or 3 guys from the Tigers, that's a pretty good way to approach the slate. It's risky still, for sure, because those guys are chalk for a reason. But I like Oakland here. That's the team I would go after. That's not going to be owned and creates instant leverage for you if you're not playing Castillo. Would not do them, obviously, in the same lineup as Castillo. All right, that does it for us. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, smash that like button. If we get to 40 likes tonight on this video, we'll give away 1 month free of MLB DFS picks. And in that, you get our top pitchers of the night. We obviously told you a lot about them right here, but we have finalized plays and our favorite stacks that we put on Patreon, and you can take advantage of that right now. Also, head to our Discord where you can chat about MLB, NBA, and everything else, and hopefully give you a little bit of extra advice to push you towards a win. Also, be on the lookout for our video for NBA, which is coming up next. All right, thanks for watching, and good luck.